Morning all, it is a frosty start today, so we've tucked ourselves up in the cabin because we can finally stay warm, which is going down well. Heated jacket and a turbo jet engine here, keeping us warm. A few weeks back at a local sale, I bought various packs of timber straight from a sawmill, all green, all needing to be dried in the future, but perfect for a bunch of jobs we have in mind. First job was to head out and pick it all up. We missed most of the action. Tell you one thing, I'm very glad we've got an automatic gate because I'm not sure if I'd stopped it would have started again. It was pretty heavy on the slope. So we've got larch, cedar, Douglas fir, Banton, and that's only half of it. I've got to go back for a whole big pack of cedar. As you guys know, we had to say farewell to the loader, so it's back to the tractor for the lifting. Change of plan. I'm not going to put the forks on the tractor because it's just a tedious job to do, and I can't find an Allen key, and just, it's a pain. I'm just going to handball everything off, pull it off, and sort it into its piles. I bought this bundle of battens. They're actually better than I thought. They're treated and could be quite useful. I don't know how regular they are though, but the reason I bought them is so we can put sticks and stick them between our boards to keep the airflow. That way nothing's going to get mouldy, nothing's going to get damp, and it will dry more evenly. I'm not going to get round to that today because I'm in such a rush, and I'm going to have to move these for a long-term spot down the other end anyway. So I'm just going to have to bundle these off somewhere. I can tell you my first error of the day. Definitely should have got the forks on the tractor and tried to lift those off in bundles because they were neatly packed together. I mean, they're so thin, they're just gonna go boing and warp and twist. Maybe that's a children's activity to stack them neatly again. All right, at least we're on to the good stuff now. They're mainly 150s, there's a pack of 100s at the bottom.
So while we do need quite a lot of these boards to finish off the cabin, they're going to be used on the external walls on the far ends. There is also enough here to do some of the other boarding that we need to do on other buildings around the farm, plus some fencing, and we might even have a go at making some of our own hurdles for the sheep come lambing.
That's all the Douglas fir. Oh, gotta tell you, it smells amazing. We're not even onto the cedar yet. It's reminding me of when we built that workshop at the last place. So you can see here, Douglas fir, you get that orangey, pinky hues. This is when it's dry, so actually when it ages it's more like this, but if you put any sort of oil or finish on it, it turns up this colour. So 200mm larch and 150 larch. Don't know where they're gonna go. Oh, I wish we had a loader.
Now the long-term goal here is to be able to have, I guess, a constant supply of timber for jobs around the farm. We want to be able to just be a little bit more spontaneous, and it's a real luxury to be able to store bulk materials like this. But ideally in the future, I'd love to get it up high, up on some either pallet racking or even cantilever racking up at the back of this barn. The ideal situation though is going to be to get a concrete pad at the bottom there, so everything can be anchored down really securely, really safely, and nice and level.
There's barely a knot in these larch boards. Beautiful. It's not like they're rejects or anything like that. They're just a bulk buy. They're awesome. Alright, these two are a bit thicker. Look like they could make good raised beds to me. There is something different about larch when it comes to using wood chip from it. I seem to remember when we had a big sawmill near us at the last place, they couldn't sell wood chip from larch. So you had to wait for them to put a load of other softwood through before you could buy the chip off them. Oh, it would just be so nice to be able to lift this off. There is no way I can do it on the tractor, even if I did put the forks on it.
Now some of you might be thinking, I've seen this all before, but coming up next is actually our kitchen delivery. It's already in place, we've already decorated, but I filmed that evening when the DIY Kitchens truck turned up and delivered the whole kitchen.
Would you believe it? We've been waiting for our delivery slot for 2 days. We were given a 2-day slot, and then it gets narrowed down to an hour. And it's 7 o'clock on the second day. I'm going to stack everything against that wall, and then it should all come boxed, which means it'll be covered and we can go ahead and decorate around it. They're also very specific on their deliveries. It has to be a tarmac lane. I mean, our lane was tarmacked once upon a time. It has to be big enough, sufficiently big enough to allow for a 40 foot or whatever their vehicle is. I know I've had big vehicles up here, so it should be alright. And then it has to be able to get 20 metres within the house and no more than 6 steps. I think we can do the 20 metre bit. I'm not sure what they're going to make of my steps. You'll have to excuse the strobe effect on that light. What I have done is I've left the flatbed trailer on the Volvo, so if it all kicks off and they start moaning, I'll go down the main road and we'll unload it there. That is far from ideal. That's a big old lorry.
After all my worrying, and I did have a few worries, that lorry managed to make it down all the way down to the cabin. It even came down the slope. It had some sort of ingenious lifting rear axle or something, and so it didn't bottom out. It came down, everything's unloaded, and I mean, I feel like a cheat. These units are pre-built, the doors are on, the drawers are in, everything is literally ready to go. It's a case of getting the legs on, getting the knobs and handles on, and kind of they're done. Anyway, that'll be for the future. Back to timber.
Now we're helping Joe's sister and family move house, and we needed the trailer, so I had to load and unload this pretty pronto and then get their stuff stored in the barn. But this is another pack of cedar. There's about 100 boards here, and we've actually decided to use this internally in the cabin as a feature wall. It's going to smell amazing. This is going to be vertical barn board type cladding at the end of the living room area. I don't want to plane them. Joe doesn't want them rough, so we're just going to belt sand them so that they're still kind of rustic looking, but equally might have some of the sawmill marks on them. I've been reading up about different species and livestock. Larch and Douglas fir should be fine for anything. Cedar can be toxic to some, so if we're using it around the goats or any of the livestock, to be honest, and the girls' rabbit hutches and stuff, we won't be using cedar. But equally, all three of these are really durable outside. So we're going to make a start on the cedar. We're waiting on the ceiling.
Yeah, they're arriving today.
Panelling, which is a pine tongue and groove. That'll be kiln dried, so that's all right. This has been drying out in here. We're going to do a bit of a sand, and then they'll probably sit in here for another week or two before we get them up on that wall. Get that one in the middle.
Yeah.
And I'll slide this one out. No, let's put this one down the centre. What we need is 2 belt sanders.
I think I might have
Now we could use the planer, but like I said, we kind of want them to be a little bit textured, so sander is the only option really. We don't have any automatic way of doing that. As much as I contemplated hiring out a floor sander, which would have been quite a good idea. Okay, we'll sort tracking out in a minute. I think these are just about dry enough to sand, but they're still not super dry. Heater's back on. The nice thing about the belt sander is the dust extraction seems to be the best. Out of all the sanders I have, that one seems to work alright. So we've found that wood is just about dry enough to sand. Some of it's a bit green still, but hopefully we'll get this 80 grit done on all of it and leave it for another week. Unfortunately, we just had a delivery from Bradford's of what we thought was going to be all of our nice ceiling cladding. Turned out it was some absolutely massive beams that I got a random quote for a few weeks ago. We kind of called up and gave the wrong quote number. So we've got beams for a barn roof, which it's on the to-do list for next year. But I've now got to order the cladding. The electrician's coming next week, but just means we're going to have to put the pendants just onto the battens for now. At least we'll have light.
So we should now have all the materials needed to clad both the internal feature wall at the end, the larch that's going to go on the outside gable ends, and also all the oak feather edge that I bought a bargain buy a couple of months back, which is in the barn. There's a whole load more sanding there, but it does mean that we can just get on with it now, and I'm looking forward to seeing this feature wall up. Just needs to be a little bit drier. I thought I'd take this opportunity to give you guys a little bit of an update on the farm as a whole. All of this is over on our new channel, DIY Farm, but just all sorts has been going on. We've had lambs getting stuck on a daily basis. We've, of course, had pigs misbehaving. We've even got some new additions. We've got our new pedigree herd of boar goats, and they are also pregnant. They're due to kid in about 5 weeks' time. So it's exciting times on all fronts. We've had frost, we've had snow, we've had flooding, we've had all sorts going on. And of course, the routine escaping pigs. All that over on the other channel. I will leave the link down in the description.
Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and I'll see you next time.